Okay, then let's start our workgroup meeting today. We have a rather full agenda. I will start with checking action items from last meeting. There were some action items related to FOC. Look into the Ruby 3.4 FOC upgrade by Seth. It's not here. See if there are other Azure client libraries Greg wanted to look inside.
Yeah, I had sent a link to one. I hadn't gotten into any depth, but it does look like there's at least one that claims to be a successor for the Microsoft one.
Okay. And there was some follow-up with the Cloud Native Build Pack team on CLI contributions. I don't
think
know.
we found there weren't any, but we did some work to add CLI PRs for like system cloud
Okay.
native build pack. So this is done.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, regarding the previous one, Seth and me also worked or discussed the option to use the Bosch library. Like Bosch has some CLI written in Go to interact with blob stores. And I'm currently playing a bit around with that if this is a viable option, so that we would shell out and call this CLI. And yeah, then at least we would reuse what Bosch has already done. So yeah, but yeah, so far it's just a POC.
Okay. Then first topic would be that the Build Pack team wants to migrate pipelines to the RE workgroup concourse and some questions regarding access, etc. And I think that's why we have Teodora and Tsvetelina in the call.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, let me share some background. As you may already know, the concourse pipelines were supported by the Broadcom, and now this concourse instance is shut down. And we are looking for a place where we can migrate those pipelines. And hopefully we can do this on the existing concourse instance. And we were wondering how we can get access. And maybe it's important to mention that we are still only reviewers, not yet, we don't have approvers permissions. So how can this happen? And do you see it as a feasible approach?
Yep, I think it would be no problem to add build pack pipelines to the existing concourse. That should be no problem. From the configuration point of view, technically it's possible to add also reviewers. I mean, these are just GitHub teams, and we can map them to grant access to the, what is it called, concourse team. That should work. Whether this is okay or not, I would pass over to Greg. And then also the question is whether the existing approvers for build packs would join this activity. That would be probably most interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the initial ideas behind the reviewer status was that it would be a way to grant concourse access without necessarily granting source modification access. So I think that sounds fine to me. I know they're currently in the middle of so there's been a reorganization with inside Broadcom. So I think the build packs team is currently still evaluating which of them are still going to be contributing to the open source. So I think that's an active discussion going on there. But they're motivated to get these pipelines so that they can get more contributions. So
okay, I guess we could take care to give you this access and to add a team to the existing concourse, but then you would have to upload the right pipelines, and I think that you will run against walls rather soon if you do not have right access into repos and adjust, I don't know, something here and there and provide credentials. That's a long thing because that requires then additional access to CredHub, if I remember correctly. And you will also need some bubble environments for tests, I guess. I don't know the build pack validation process in detail, but they have to be set up also in the community, and yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we will manage
I'm
to
not
do that. Sorry, Greg.
build full environments. I know there was a while where just like in
We can hardly hear you. You sound
Yeah.
like a robot.
Okay.
Okay, so what you definitely need is a GitHub technical user for all the Git operations. That must be stored in the Concourse CredHub. Those credentials should all be possible. Yeah. The only really question is, do we want to give a GitHub reviewer team full access? You would have then full access to this working group Concourse. Yeah.
Or otherwise we can, I don't know, maybe be
I
approved.
mean, not sure if it's feasible for you to become approvers soon. That might be the somewhat safer approach.
And even if we start this with the reviewers, I guess you would need to have a shared session with the existing build pack team in order to set the things up and to upload the pipelines and create the necessary surrounding infrastructure.
Yeah, we are already in communication. We are having communication with Rob Zucker. Yes, and we are finding the way how to do it technically.
So maybe we start with granting also reviewers access, and as soon as you have or got promoted to approvers, and we can reconsider the setup and remove the reviewer access again, and to have the same setup as in all other working groups. Should be no problem. Maybe a word of warning, we will come to that later. There are discussions about the future of this concourse. So there will be an RFC to come up with one central concourse for all working groups, but it will take time until this is set up and some experience is gained. And we may consider to move this concourse, let's say, into another GCP region for getting it cheaper. So it's from time to time under construction and might then suffer from some downtimes, etc. So yeah. But that's the same for all.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else we need to
No,
sort
not
out?
from our side. Not from
Okay.
our. Thank
I
you.
guess just can we not create a new team in the concourse instance with different GitHub permissions? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. That's the idea. The question was only, can we add also reviewers to this concourse team? So no impact on the copy pipelines.
I got you.
I think, as to my understanding, as it is implemented currently, the team you add in this concourse setup has full access to the concourse. Concourse teams don't change anything here. Yes, they have all the same permissions. Yeah. So yeah, it's not very fine-grained at the moment.
Okay. Then short update on the RFCs. File-based service binding support is implemented. That's all done and shipped. One thing that is currently work in progress and where we are working, or Philip is especially working on, is to add up feature flags to the CF manifest so that users can actually configure file-based service bindings, but also enable SSH right from the first push, because that's currently not possible and there are no CLI commands to otherwise manage the up feature flags. But yeah, step one would be to add it to the app manifest. IPv6 is RFC, a very long-running underway. For CAPI, the application security groups for IPv6 are now implemented. That means you can specify IPv6 application security groups, and we forward that to Diego. And if Diego would support them, they would be configured. So there's much more work to do. But yeah, from CAPI side, we are at least not anymore in the way for egress IPv6. What is still open, we need IPv6 support in Bubble for testing, but that's, yeah, that comes somewhere in the future to have the whole story implemented. And next thing, yeah, I wanted to talk about this inactive users PR that I opened. It's a monthly inactive user scrape that happens in the TOC, and there are a few inactive users that have roles in the ARI working group in different areas. So I would, yeah, ask everybody to put, yeah, if you know some of them and think they would complain about it, please point them to this PR so that they comment. The usual next step is that we merge it anyway, no matter whether somebody complains or not. And then let's say a user should file a new PR to get re-added, and we would approve that without further procedure. Because then there is 1 year silence from this inactivity scan again. Okay, there's one interesting thing. The Open Service Broker API area has no approvers anymore, so it's a completely orphaned area. And yeah, Greg proposed to move this one repository, which is just a specification, there's no coding inside, into the CAPI area. And yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I could then open a new PR in addition to do that once this is merged. Good. Yep. How should we proceed with this PR? Should I wait, let's say, 1 or 2 more weeks until I merge it? Oh. Any opinions? Yeah, otherwise I would ask Greg to review it and approve it, or delay it for 1 or 2 more weeks, and then we merge it, because pretty soon the next scan from the POC comes and we have additional findings. Just want to get that, and I will file a PR to join the Open Service Broker API area into the CAPI area. Good. The next thing is cost saving. There are quite some activities currently running because of the spendings on especially Google infrastructure in all working groups and cost reporting, etc. Yeah, there are some proposals that are relevant for CAPI that we could implement. Number one is, yeah, a lot of cost is caused by the ELSA HA environment, which is a long-living environment used in CAPI CI. And we discussed it internally and checked the tests that are running there, and actually came to the conclusion that we could simply convert it into a short-lived environment, because there is actually no real data in this cloud controller database. It's just the CATS data, and the CATS data is cleaned up after each run. So it doesn't really justify a long-lived database and to hope that there is some, let's say, validation of the data migration. And it's called ELSA HA, but there are also no real HA tests. I think the only HA is that the database is a special one. It's a MySQL cluster. And we could stick with that, but if we just convert it into a short-lived environment, I would say the biggest share of the cost will just go away. Do you think that's a valid idea?
I guess, have we recently seen any benefit to it being long-lived?
At least I'm not aware. I'm not aware that it found any issues in data migration. We have this Kiki landscape, which does some other tests. The tests that the last released Cloud Controller version works with all database migrations that are on dev. That's a valid test. It's short-lived, no costs, but that's something. And we have, I think, additional compatibility tests running as unit tests. So
yeah. So I'm fine converting it to a short-lived environment if the team is. A potential half step is we could suspend the VMs that it's running on in between test runs. That'd be a separate level of management we'd have to build, but that would be a half step between deleting the deployment every time.
yeah, but it's actually more effort, right?
Yep,
to
definitely
build
more
that.
effort.
Yeah. So that's why we thought, let's convert it into short-lived environment. And if we then have gaps and we find them, then we know and can think about how to close them. And maybe then this sort of hibernation of the environment is a possibility. But for now, I would not spend too much effort into it.
Yeah, sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, then we would go in this direction and do that, let's say, in the next, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, and then I guess the
realistic.
other big environment was the autoscaler environment.
Yeah, autoscaler is separate. Here I have to talk with some autoscaler people at SAP that they take care. Here I cannot simply interfere and say we change it, but I can definitely bring that on the agenda of those teams. Yeah, it's the same issue. Long-lived environments are simply expensive, and there should be other solutions to deal with their development. Yeah, some additional ideas that we had. We do some scaling in all environments, not just in ELSA, but for all, also the short-lived ones. And we scale up the workers. And here we would, meanwhile, I would say, have a possibility to increase the throughput of the workers by using the thread-based options, and also to scale up the number of processes. We do that in our productive landscapes so that we can live with one VM. It's not a big saving, but a little bit should be possible. And what we also could do is to move all the bubble environments into a cheaper region. I think everything, at least in the CAPI, or that we created for CAPI, runs in the Europe West region in London. And if we move that to a US region, we save around 20%, at least when I look at the prices for the E2 CPUs that we usually use.
Yeah, I think if there was a cheap US East region, then that might be kind of in between where we are, so it wouldn't be too difficult moving out of Europe.
Yeah.
Assuming there's a well-priced region there.
So we could do that when we, let's say, convert the ELSA environment. We do this region shift as well, and if that works out good, we can then take one after the other landscapes. If they are short-lived, it's not that much that we save. The interesting thing is then concourse again, because that's also long-running, and if we move this cluster to a cheaper region, it would save probably more, but that's a bigger thing to do.
Yeah, especially if we're going to be moving off of it in the medium term.
Exactly, yeah. It's the question whether it's worth to do it. So we would concentrate, let's say, on the ELSA HA, then maybe this little scaling thing, and moving the bubble environments to cheaper regions.
Yeah, so I mean, the Bosch Lite environment's currently like basically everything except for ELSA and the CAPI pipeline. they're pretty inexpensive as it is, so I don't think there's like magnitude-wise a ton of savings there. And since they're Bosch lights, they're all running on a single VM anyway, so I don't think like scaling really matters that much unless you start running into like exhausting all of the resources on that single VM.
Yeah, that doesn't bring. I looked into the CAPI CI pipelines mostly, and here we use real bubble environments, not Bosch Light. Okay. Next point would be MySQL 5.7. There is a PR open. And when I opened it, says ask to postpone the removal until May. We have now end of May, so I wonder whether I can get an okay now and remove MySQL 5.7 support or testing. We talk about the unit testing. That's what is deleted. It's more or less a something that you at Broadcom side should decide, because we don't use MySQL at SAP.
Yeah, I think I need to catch up with Seth where he got the date of May from. My understanding is the version of Cloud Foundry support that kind of uses on MySQL 5.7 is out of support end of July, but maybe I'm misunderstanding. So yeah, maybe I can catch up with Seth to find out what the actual date is. That's
Let's
okay.
do that. It doesn't matter that much whether we postpone it for 1 or 2 months. That's not the point. I just it's every 2 or 3 months we stumble for one statement on issues with MySQL 5.7, so it would be good to get rid of it one day.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think like the latest will be end of July if that's the actual date.
Okay. Then Concourse update to 7.13. I think Jochen can say a few words.
Let me take over. I would like to share the screen. Can you unshare, please?
Okay. I can try. Stop sharing. Yep.
Yeah. This one, I guess. Yeah. So Concourse update. So this is about the update of the ARI working group Concourse. That's the one we talked about at the beginning. So this is also relevant for the build pack team. We've been running on version 7.12 something for quite some time now, and that was not exactly the best version. It was quite buggy. You saw a lot of orange jobs with all kinds of errors. And so now finally we took the time to upgrade to 7.13.1, which is almost the latest version. Now the update story was, let's say, a partial success story. As you can see, the instance is up and running. However, the database was lost during the update process. Now, why was that the case? You see, we have the setup is quite complex. We use a separate Cloud SQL database. Concourse runs on a Kubernetes cluster, so these are 2 different entities in GCP. And we have an initial storage size of 38 gigabytes configured. And the disk size is configured to increase automatically. Let me, in automatic storage increase is enabled. And it turned out that for just this particular instance, the size grew to 45 gigabytes. And then when the Terraform update came, then you cannot shrink a database disk in Cloud SQL. That is not supported. And so Terraform decided to delete the instance and spin up a new one. And sadly, with that, also the backups were gone. The backups are, tied to this instance. So of course, at the beginning of the update, you do an on-demand backup. We have automated backups for the last 7 days, but that didn't help. Those were also gone. Yeah, too bad, but nevertheless, the details are in the Slack channel. So we checked and improved our setup. These are the sources. Let me paste that into the, where is the Zoom chat? Chat. Oh, it's the other window. So, so these are all the updates. We have a lot of Renovate bot updates somewhere in between here. I think this is the actual update of the Concourse Helm chart to the latest version. And we fixed a lot of other smaller things, and we've also now improved the database deletion protection. It was off, yeah, which was not optimal, and but now there is a way to switch that on Terraform level and also on GCP level. So if you check now the current configuration, we have now data protection and yeah, instance deletion. This is now on, and also retained backups after instance deletion. This is also on. Okay. Now we've restored all the pipelines. That is the easy part. The trickier part was to restore the secrets stored in the CredHub. And we, of course, we have in GCP Secret Manager, we have copies of the most important credentials, and will certificates can rather, the load balancer certificates for the test environments can be rather easily regenerated. The only thing missing is this pipeline, this Bosch lights. And when we check this, then we see there are some strange credentials. So for example, Bosch Light project ID and service account key. Not sure where this project lived, if it was in the ARIWG GCP project or somewhere else. And
yeah, they were just in the same project as everything else.
Okay.
I can go and fill in these credentials again.
Okay, that would be great. And here are some GitHub deploy keys for this particular project where I don't have full access. So here we would also have to recreate those.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay, great, thanks. Then we should have restored everything, so the main pipeline is already up and running again. Have not seen any orange jobs so far, so fingers crossed. And yeah, here for the build packs team, you would then, I can create such a Concourse team for you where you can then store and upload your new pipelines. And I can also add the correct GitHub team in the Concourse authentication configuration and redeploy. Good. Any questions on the Concourse topic? Okay.
Good. These were the topics that we have on the agenda. Any additional things we should talk? Nothing, then I guess we can close the meeting and wish you a nice day or evening, depending on where you are. And then see you maybe in 2 weeks in the KP Open Office Hour or the next ARI work group meeting.